Racing Studs! Hey Brick family, welcome on into another build video. How did you like the intro video? Please let me know in the comment section what you thought about it. Anyway, in this video, we're going to be finishing off the second half of the Mopar Dodge SRT Top Fuel Dragster in the 1970 Dodge Challenger Trans Am. Specifically, we will be building the Top Fuel Dragster. Oh yeah, please subscribe to this channel to see more of these awesome LEGO builds and hit that bell icon for notifications for new videos. Just to let everybody know, I usually upload new videos on Wednesdays and Saturdays, so stay tuned. With regards to the Top Fuel Dragster, I'll be the first to admit that I know nearly nothing about this world except that this sport focuses in on only one thing, and that one thing is speed, more speed, and even more speed. Well, that actually is a blatant lie, because they also care about aerodynamics, acceleration, and downforce. Oh wait, did I mention that speed already? Anyway, the Mopar Dodge SRT Top Fuel Dragster was released back on June 5th of 2021 and weighs in at about a total of 627 pieces. For those 627 pieces, they will set you back $49.99, which in my opinion is slightly on the more expensive side, but that is understandable because we're talking about licensed sets over here. The first step of the build features a female race driver with long blonde hair LEGO element which can be swapped out for a racing helmet. Don't ask me how she gets all that hair underneath that helmet, but apparently she manages to do so before she goes out to the drag strip and starts racing. She also is wearing a race suit as well, which I'm sure is fire retardant, just in case something happens to her dragster. The build then moves on to the extremely long chassis of the dragster, including the front splitter. It features putting a lot of gray and white LEGO 2x2 elements together, each with studs on top, the two sides, and the face of the LEGO pieces. These elements are stacked on top of each other, and then are further reinforced by putting colorful LEGO elements on the front face of those 2x2 elements, as well as one stud-wide LEGO element on the sides of those pieces as well. As you keep building a model, you get a sense of how long this model actually is. In fact, the model is actually more than twice as long as your regular Speed Champions car. Moving on, you then begin stickering the crap out of the front of the car with Dodge SRT stickers on both sides of the dragster. During my research on the interwebs, I did not find any specifics on the Dodge SRT Top Fuel Dragster itself, but I can offer you some general information about Top Fuel Dragsters in general. These types of cars are the quickest accelerating ones in the world and can reach warp factor 10, well, maybe not that fast, but somewhere around 355 miles an hour during one of their runs. So on the drag strip, racing runs are typically 1,000 feet, and these cars guzzle that distance in a mere 3.62 seconds. Talk about truly living your life a quarter mile at a time. The 0 to 100 mile an hour time can be achieved in less than 0.8 seconds, which is enough to have your internal organs fly out the back of your body even before your brain can comprehend that your body is now disintegrated and has become one with the backseat of the dragster. Research shows that the driver of these cars are subjected to 4.75 Gs of acceleration, which is even more than a space shuttle astronaut feels during a space shuttle launch. After all that stickering fun, you then move on to building the front splitter of the dragster, along with, you guessed it, more stickering the front splitter. Not only do people who watch the sport enjoy the mind-numbing speed that these dragsters can achieve, they also enjoy not being able to hear their spouses for the rest of their lives complaining about some random shit that they should be doing or not doing. For my research at Wide Open Throttle, these hellspawns bellow around 150 decibels of just deafening sound. That isn't enough to cause permanent hearing damage and cause physical pain on top of that. At least you will be massaged by the pounding vibration as the car revs up and gets ready to literally eat its own tires. After that, you start building the top of the dragster, which uses 3 flat black 2x6 elements that are connected together. One of the parts that I found was really cool about the build was how the designer achieved the sloped angle on top of the dragster. This is done by connecting 2 blue claw elements with 2 black elements that the claws can hook up onto. Obviously, there's no such thing as a quote-unquote stock engine on these dragsters. Each and every single one of them have been modified and fine-tuned to spew forth hellfire, and it turns everything around it into molten slag. Rough estimates of horsepower is somewhere between 8,500 to 10,000. At this point in time, you can't even call it horsepower. You would have to call it devil spawn power? Another reason why these speeding bullets accelerate so fast is they produce around 7,400 pound-feet of torque, which is literally enough to warp everything into oblivion. To handle all this rage, the car sports enormous rear tires which are typically around 36 inches in diameter. At the end of the dragster is a massive rear wing which is also 100% functional. This wing generates about 12,000 foot-pounds of downforce at 325 miles an hour, which keeps the rear wheel firmly planted on the ground, which contributes to stability. Also, apparently the gases that are pushed out by the exhaust generates another 800 pounds of downforce on top of what the ring contributes. I have to let you know, when I was doing all this research, my mind literally was blown as to how powerful these drag strip beasts are. In step 2 is where you finish off the other vital elements on the dragster and also finish up the rest of the car. The first few steps start off with building the backrest where the driver sits, and then you move on to enclosing the cockpit of the car, starting off with 2x4 black elements and then migrating to larger sloped smooth black elements to give the chassis the sleek aerodynamic looks. You then move on to my favorite part, which is stickering those sloped black elements with actually rather awesome looking Hornet with a helmet and racing wheels. Moving on, you start building one side of the exhaust, which uses a 1x1 black element with a handle on it, and you alternate these black handle elements with 1x1 gray Lego studs. The exhaust stack is then attached to the body of the car using a peg element as well as another element that fastens to the chassis of the car. You will then repeat the same process with the other side of the car, as there are typically 8 exhausts on a top fuel dragster. The only thing that the model was not able to translate are that the exhausts typically point downwards to generate all that downforce. After the exhausts are done, you then move on to building the supercharger of the car, which sits on top of the engine, which then sits on top of the exhaust. The supercharger is achieved by using combinations of many small 1x2, 1x1, and 2x2 gray elements. Finally, to round out the engine are the intakes, which are achieved by using combinations of flat black elements. I'll have to admit, the intakes look 100% accurate to the ones that are on the real Dragster, which again, kudos to the ingenuity of the LEGO designers. To round out the build, you build the impressive rear wing that sits literally a mile above the car. The rear wing lower structure is built by using two Technic LEGO elements which have holes on either side of them, and you then thread two black staff elements through those holes. These staff elements are then topped with four black claw elements which allow the wing to be attached to the chassis of this car. The claw elements also allow the wing to be moved back and forth, even though I'm pretty sure that on the real Dragster, the wing is not movable. Finally, four angular smooth black elements are attached to the rear wing of the car to mimic the curve of the wing. Again, I feel that this is a spot-on representation of the rear wing of the car on the LEGO model. There we have it, folks. That is another LEGO Speed Champions build done. Overall, I feel that this Top Fuel Dragster design is very accurate compared to its real-life counterpart. I suppose the only thing that I feel is slightly off is the rear tires need to be just a tad bigger because it really looks too small on the LEGO model. Aside from that minor criticism, I really enjoyed building this model. I am simultaneously sad that this is the last 2021 Speed Champions model, now built and reviewed. Oh well, at least we can look towards the 2022 models, which I hope will bring more hypercars from Ferrari, Lambo, and McLaren. Anyway, thanks for sticking around until the end of the video. Please remember to subscribe to the channel for more of these builds and to grow our little brick family into a larger one. This is Sprues and Studs, and I will see you all until the next build.